anyway, as far as my reports, the two committees I report on, neither one of them have met since our last meeting. And of course, legislative affairs, we've all been working that, and you know, a lot of the stuff that the chamber have been tracking, and their positions on it. Unfortunately, we didn't follow their advice on several of the items as well, but anyway, we continue to fight however we can and voice our opinions, so I appreciate you guys. I know you guys have been talking a lot. I'm trying to move the needle there, but I don't know how successful I feel on this year's agenda myself. But with that, I'll go ahead and see you guys have any reports you want to update on.
Tag team?
Yeah, you guys need to tag team, as big as that is.
I don't know. I'll talk about CTC. CTC's been having conversations with the city because they also have a grant opportunity that could help fund CTC for the next 5 years. And so we had a meeting 3 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Alex, the mayor, Tiffany and Megan, myself, and Mike, we were in that meeting just kind of talking about the logistics of what that could look like if the city was interested or not. Sounds like it's something that will probably be pretty easy on our part. Some additional reporting things, but if we're able to apply for this grant and receive it, then that could really set our CTC up for better and broader success. So we're in the process of getting all of the information for that grant completed, and there are a couple of requirements we have to meet, just getting signatures from the 12 sectors, which would consist of, I don't remember all of them, but government, city, different types of businesses, media, things of that nature. And so we have, I think, all but one, and we have a couple of connections for that final one. So we've just been trying to help Tiffany get her all the things that she needs to get wrapped up so that she could provide to the city what we need to get our part done. The grant deadline is in mid-April, and so we've been trying to help her get her stuff together, and she's expecting to have all that done by next Friday to be able to hand it to the city so that our staff will have enough time to do what they need to do. But this is a pretty good opportunity. We know one other CTC, North Davis CTC, received this grant last year. And theirs is ongoing, and our current board chair also helps with that CTC. So we've got some really good knowledge and expertise. She's a Layton City resident, but she works for the school district and has a partnership with DVH. So she's been really influential in helping us figure out how to navigate all of this. So we're pretty excited about that, and also hopeful that we'll be able to bring South Weaver on board. Had a meeting with them last week, and their city manager seemed very interested in what we're doing. We're already reaching those kids because they go to Northridge, and so we're hoping to get some participation from the South Weaver side coming up pretty soon. I'll wait until we get to Clint's part to talk about all of the legislative stuff. We do have some wins, so I think we can talk about those too.
The major win, at least.
We have a couple major ones, yeah, but I'll wait until we get to that part.
Yeah.
Just recreation, thank you. At least I don't have to remember now. Family night at the library, that's March 20th. Is this where they read the books? Yeah, because we used to do that. It's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is fun.
Of course, I always got the Run Dick Run Jane books, but, you know, at least I'd be reading. And then the museum on the 12th has an exhibit there, and that's from photography winners at the Utah State Fair, so I don't know what that entails, but you'll be able to see a lot.
It's on the wall. Yeah, it's up now.
It's up now, and
Oh,
I
is
think
it?
it goes through the 12th of, is it next month?
Yeah.
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 Oh, I'm sorry, it starts the 12th. I don't know where, the 20th is the family recreation. Yeah. And then we have the egg dive and that's March 21st. Costs $3, but kids under 14. And then it mentions here, anybody over 70 must have ID. I don't know what that means. And, but anyway, if you pay your $3, the kids, they can stay and swim after. And they have a chance to win a gift basket. To get a gold egg, there's something in the gold egg, I think. Yeah, so it's always kind of fun. Recreation was fun. I'm sorry about you other people that have to work at serious jobs.
Still is.
Yeah, it has its issues, but we hand them over to legal.
So I was actually reminded me of Dave Price. Is this the first year we've done high school basketball? Or or what's new this year in terms of the basketball for the older kids? If anything.
So we've done high school basketball for a few years, quite a few years now. We've seen a real increase in that participation, and it's become one of our favorite and funnest activities.
Yeah.
Our greatest success this year is the increase in the number of leagues and teams for young ladies. And so we're seeing opportunities not only in basketball, but in softball for young women to play into their high school age.
Awesome.
And we're setting up, we don't have enough teams to have a league here in Layton, so we're working with other cities in that area.
Awesome. Yeah, I just had a resident reach out. He has daughters in that age group and was just saying, like, whoever's in charge of that high school program, just tell them thank you. Like, the girls are having so much fun, and they thought they were done playing sports, and they're just happy they can play with their friends. So, that stuff kind of has reverberations throughout the community. Like, people just enjoy it. That's what the recreation department's about. So you reminded me of that. So just wanted to pass on the well wishes. So thank you to you and your team. To the mayor's point, or similarly, we didn't really have much going on with the UIA, and so there really isn't much of an update. But I am interested in having some discussion on some of the league stuff that you guys want to talk about.
Planning Commission, West and his team conducted some training.
Oh, good.
Before the commission. I thought I came in late. I really had to take a shower before I came. Sorry. Type of job, day job I have.
Well, they told me they appreciate it.
Yeah, we definitely appreciated it that day. But it was quite helpful for me too. So it was not much on the agenda. We got an email today that they canceled the next planning commission because there's no items to discuss. So I got light duty for a while. So.
Oh, but wow.
That doesn't happen very often.
That doesn't.
That's a rarity, but okay. All right, you gonna dive into the big stuff, or you gonna update on anything else?
Ramp commission is still right in the middle of stuff. We're in the middle of the 2.5-hour, 3-hour meetings now. Getting through the agenda, meet again on Monday. I think it's been good. They started from the bottom and moved up instead of from the top down to have just a different conversation about the different projects. So that's that. The legislature items, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that we've maybe talked about here. The water bill, the Boulder water bill that we've discussed, it got through the House. It's now over circled in the Senate. So, but it really, there's Steve, doesn't really affect us if we don't want to.
As long as we don't want to try for state or federal money.
Yeah, the idea is if we want to go after state money or federal money through the state, then we have to be charging them 1.5 for water, 1.5 for sewer.
So are all of our, if we ever go and get federal funds for any sort of, does all of those projects come through the state grant funding? Or is there an avenue for us to get federal funds directly?
There's very few water and wastewater funds that don't come through the state.
I assume so, because we're at municipality subsidiaries.
Yeah, that was asked.
So it's not just state funds, but federal funds.
Yes, that's what I said, federal fund through the state as well.
The
That-
things that they kind of pulled the steam out of that though was the money that you increase, you actually keep that. Before it was, you have to increase and that money's
And it
going
went
into some
anywhere.
pot for everybody.
Yeah.
And then it also, if you were already at a certain percentage, you would just have to get to the 1.5 from where you already were. So a lot of the steam that they had in it in the beginning really got pulled away. So if we raised our rates, we feel like we'd be able to fund whatever projects we were doing anyway. So that's why I think for us, it seems like we'd probably be okay to not have to need to apply for those types of funds that don't come very often anyway, from what Steve was saying.
And the other part in the bill was, there's a 2-year runway to get there. So if you needed to, you could do it in steps.
They were just basically trying to encourage heavily
Yeah.
those municipalities who basically tout themselves on not raising their rates, and then when they have a big project, they come and ask the state for money. And so that was kind of the big push, was we need everybody to actually have skin in the game and be doing their part instead of just coming to ask for money from the state.
So this was the 280 bill that we talked about with the senators here. This was in response to that. And
Right.
This was, the bill sponsor said, we were given 3 recommendations, we're taking baby steps on one of them is all. So that's what this is. So that's good. They figured out that wasn't the best idea. The property tax bill that Senator McKay was working on throughout the session, that started with a cap and then it morphed into how much reserve you could have as a city based on your general fund balance. That's when it kind of morphed into that, and then removing some of the exemption, residential exemption for renters. Anyway, the bill died in the Senate on the floor. So President Adams was the one that it was 15-14. So
Oh,
that
really?
went away. Yeah, that went away.
I appreciate him for his responsiveness. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I texted him like every day last week.
The other property tax bill that messes with the timing, Karen Peterson, that's sitting circled in the Senate. The election bill that I was talking to Kim about earlier, that didn't get out of the Senate committee, so it was held. So that's done, gone. And then the infrastructure fund that Representative Roberts, we were part of those emails early on. That is, so what that is they're taking, this is way technical, but if there's some fund that's $300 million is sitting somewhere and they're grabbing $100 million of it and creating an infrastructure fund for cities to be able to apply for to help with big projects, and then to repay that with impact fees when the projects are, when the subdivisions are built, that sort of a thing. And that is circling in the Senate right now too, so. These are, some of this is pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
The
that's a
league
good
was
report.
working
Those are
really
good
hard
ones.
on some of these, and there's some legislators, they're like, man, what happened? The Senate just seems to be being the Senate.
Yeah, they were the gatekeepers this year on a lot of stuff, which,
Well, that's
Anyway,
good.
those are some
Senator
highlights.
Stevenson was a no on that same one that Stu, so we need both,
Well, I texted him both.
you know,
Oh,
takes them both
yeah.
to say no.
And
Otherwise it
thanks
passes.
to Kim for your insights too. I know you don't want to be, party to things, but getting real information from cities and what actually does happen, what doesn't happen, how much things cost, all of that makes a huge difference. And it's a bigger push, at least for our senators, to have real information than to have people's anecdotes. So not just you, but Tracy was helpful, Steve. I talked to a number of staff here about different things, and everybody was very, very responsive. And it made a huge difference, so thank you.
There is another bill, really quick, that Representative Stoddard has got through the House, and it's over on the Senate also, and it's a primary elections amendment, so we used to, or we pretty much have primary elections all the time. But we only have maybe one or two more candidates more than double, and so this would allow, if it passes, would allow city to elect not to have a primary election if we didn't want to be able to save the money on having, just to eliminate one or two.
So the amount doesn't matter of people, or does it?
There's,
If you
we have to
double,
average
you
more than
have to-
double, you have to have a primary. which
Okay.
This would allow us not to if we didn't
If
want
you
to.
didn't, okay.
And it goes up to, if it's more than 3 times, then you have to have it.
Oh, it's
So there's a little bit of a
all-
range. Representative Dunnigan liked that, and so the committee chair and they amended it, so.
That's actually
We'll see
good.
what happens.
It would only be applicable like to the mayor's race. Usually the city council, we have way more.
But even the city council race.
Yeah,
you
some
could-
see, yeah, if there's 2 seats up and you only have
And you have
five people.
It's easier because if you
Or
have
4 people.
7 for 3 spots, then you
Right.
wouldn't have to. But if you have 9.
Yeah,
you
we
generally-
would have to.
Yeah.
You have so many then.
Yeah.
First time we ran, we had 10.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now we have
Last time it was 7.
7. So we have a primary
We
election.
haven't had that many, so.
The elections are
Well, every time.
$50,000 an election?
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah,
Did,
by the time mailings and that.
Representative Wilcox's bill on partisan affiliation for
Held.
held.
in the committee.
There was one on the restaurant taxes. Did you guys follow that at all? I know where that ended up. I know that one was, that one would have an impact as well because I think the county receives a lot of that funding that helps towards tourism, and then that goes away, then the tourism fund will diminish as well as
The restaurant
the
tax
county. Yeah.
repeal failed the
Failed,
House
didn't it?
pretty substantially.
Okay. That's good. Okay. Any other updates?
The only other one I think that would affect people most of the people at this table is the municipal reporting. And I think that's
Yeah.
one that was added. It will affect Kim's job.
That's gonna
All of us.
get passed.
It'll get passed. It's already, it's already passing, but basically every year, anybody who's elected who has an open account, like if you have an account, maybe pays for a website or whatever it is you do, or if you just keep it open and there's nothing in it, you still have to report by the end of the year. I think it was.
You mean an election? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until it's
So,
0.
Yeah.
Even if you don't, even if you're
Well, even
elected,
if it's 0.
even if you're a candidate,
If you keep it
and you
open.
didn't,
Oh,
you're not
I see.
elected, you gotta report until it's 0.
But even if it's 0, I think you have to declare it's 0.
Yeah.
So.
But if you're not a candidate, then.
Yeah, if you weren't elected, if you were just a candidate,
But
didn't
you
get
still
elected,
kept
you
your
would,
account
you still had money in it
Oh,
until it's 0. But you can,
yeah,
you could get rid of the money in 3 ways,
yeah,
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
but, yeah.
Spend it,
yeah.
spend it, spend it.
You donate it to a
Yeah, let's try donate
501c3.
first.
You donate it, or if you loan it to yourself, you can give it back,
Yeah,
or you
there
give
you
the
go.
money back to the, or you can donate to another campaign,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or you give it back to the people who gave it to you. Yeah, that's right.
So now, Kim, you get to say
Okay.
your else
No.
every year.
Unfunded.
Oh, but what I did ask, so there's a fine if the
Yes.
candidates or the electeds do not do this reporting timely. But the fine does get to stay with the city. So if people don't do that, right, if you can get the fine from them, right. But if they don't do that.
$250.
Yes, you get the money.
$250.
Does Kim get a set the fee?
No, they are.
Can you pay your fine through your?
Yes.
Yes.
You
Yes.
can, that was
You can.
asked. Just keep paying until it's 0.
So you're
Oh,
just
well,
donating it to your
yeah.
city, just do that. Anyways.
Okay.
We good on that? Okay, let's go ahead and talk about then this opportunity that we have to go ahead and do a letter of support for some funding on some projects that we're well aware of, that we've been working on. And so this is where I'm going to have Joellen and Dave come up. to see, so they can kind of just enhance what we've been doing or what our focus has been and see if we can continue to go after some additional funding to help with it. So, go ahead, Mr. Price.
Well, I just wanted to quickly say thank you, Mayor, for bringing this to our attention. After the mayor forwarded some information that she received from one of our representatives, and we have an opportunity to get some federal funding that could help our projects. We have chose 2 projects to present tonight. We think that they're both wonderful opportunities, and so I'll let Joanne go through those. At this point, we're asking simply for a nod of approval, and as part of the application, we are asked to provide a letter of support from the council. And so this starts the process. If we are awarded money, of course, the council will be asked to, through a resolution, to accept that if they choose to do so. But this gets the ball rolling. So, Joanne, please.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be here with you all this evening. So I'll just go over these 2 different projects. The first one is the Case Creek Trail pedestrian overpass at the Layton Frontrunner Station. This has been a many-year project that we have been working on, and we're very thrilled with the point that we're at right now. We're ready to go out to bid. But just to give us context, I know Councilmember Coandriano's, you're new, so I just want to bring you up to speed. But this is our trails improvement goals map, and we've been focusing heavily on being able to connect the Case Creek Trail. This is our #1 trail in the city that we are focusing on being able to connect to help us to get from the mountains all the way down to the lake. And this piece right here is the focus of this project, being able to connect these 2 trails on either side of the tracks and onto Main Street through a pedestrian overpass bridge. This is a nice overview of this downtown area that brings you into context of what we have so far. The Case Creek Trail has been built all the way to here, and we have acquired land on this side to build the land, the overpass on the west side, and then it would span over the UTA and Union Pacific Railroad lines and land over on the UTA Frontrunner Park and Ride space. And we worked very closely with UTA, and they provided us a landing for being able to get down on the east side as well. And then the extension of this Case Creek Trail would have a signal crossing that would eventually be installed here, and then it would connect into the...
Being installed now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, we're working on it.
There you go. Awesome. And then it would connect up to Gentile Street and then head on up into our city center that we have. Most of this has been built as well with the new Layton Station mixed-use project that was completed, I believe, last year. So this is a very conceptual layout of what it looks like, but basically we have stairs and an elevator on both sides with a bridge crossing that gets you across to the other. And then this is just a rendering of what it would look like. And this is from the UTA Frontrunner side. And as I mentioned, we've been working with UDOT. They've been our project management team in sync with us, and we've worked through all of the design plans through through Kimley Horn. And we've got the permitting all in line, and like I said, we're very much close to be able to put this out to bid, hopefully this month, with an expectation of building this summer through until the spring of next year. And this is a report of our financial plan. Everything that's in green has been secured, so we have this one section in the 26-27 year that we tentatively have placed a funding request through our Layton Prop 1 funds for $731,000. The total project price is $12.8 million. I want to bring you down here to this left-hand side to be able to demonstrate how much we've been able to gather both internally and externally through external funds, through all these wonderful partners that we have on this left-hand side that are listed: WFRC, UDOT, the county, the state through the Recreational Trails and Outdoor Recreation Program have been very supportive, and we're grateful for their hand in helping us to be able to raise the funds for this. But collectively together, we have about $10.6 million in external funds raised. And internally, we have earmarked $2.2 million. And so with the understanding of this grant that we have available to put in through the Representative Lake Moore's office, we would like to submit to be able to replace the internal funds that we've gathered, to be able to compensate those back. And so that's one that we'd like to put in for. Are there any questions with this one before I jump over to the other court?
This one's with Representative Moore.
Yeah.
Yes.
That and stay in
What's the
touch with the
timeline
staff.
on the grant?
It's very quick.
Is it?
Yeah.
Actually,
Just a second.
Oh,
There it
Been
is.
constantly working for a long time now.
So my understanding, and he was asking what the timeline is.
Yeah.
So Representative Blake Moore's office basically asked us to get it in immediately. So
Yeah.
we're working very quickly to be able to get it turned in so that we can throw our hat in the ring for this one and see if it can get some traction moving forward.
great.
Does- Are you sending this with it, this form?
Mhm.
We'll probably change some of the highlights soon.
Okay.
Will do.
We'll talk with you, Mayor, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Be sure it is.
That's fine.
Are both of these from the same grant bucket, or are they different?
They both would come from the same grant bucket. They would fall under the subcommittee for urban development initiatives. And they fit nicely in those, so that's where we would put the application into. The second one is the Freedoms Plaza. This is here in our city center, the heart of our Layton area. This is, obviously you've been there. There's the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall, the War Dog Memorials, and the Battle Cross Memorial. This space right in here is really to be the heart of this plaza, this outdoor gathering space. We have a number of features that would be provided. One of them is a reflection pool with the intention of some plaques that would be able to highlight the founding fathers' documents. And there's a lot of symbolism in this design. There are 13 columns to represent the 13 original colonies that declared independence. And then we have a lot of benches that will be included with a All-Star family monument to recognize those families who lost their loved ones while in service. And this is just a view approaching the space if you were to go there. And then this is just a view looking backward the other way. We have been working very closely with the committee. Mayor Petro has been a part of that committee where we've gathered members from the Vietnam Veterans Committee, Major Brent Taylor Foundation, the War Dog members, among others. And together we've been working on sharpening this space and being able to make sure we get it a collective view on how to make it just right. We've had a design team that's helping us to put together the construction documents, and we've gone through a number of different versions and renditions, and we keep landing back on this layout, which, as you can see, reflects a lot of the early conceptual renderings that we prepared early on. We did have some great feedback on being able to add more shade opportunities. Those spaces here on either side are some additional trellises that would be able to provide some additional shade, and then just more benches for seating opportunities, and then just enhancing the walkway coming in. And so we think this also would be a very nice project to be able to put forward with the funding that's available, especially with it being the America 250 year. Has a lot of specialness about it that could really be the right time to be able to ask for some funding. Mayor Petro did mention that we were wondering how much can we ask, and they said that between $1 to $5 million. So we're shooting for about $2.5 to $3 million ask on this. So we'll just put our hand in for this as well if it might be something you would support along the way as well. So are there any questions for this one?
Do you have to prioritize?
They don't have a ranking, so we'll just turn them in side by side, and And then from there, the subcommittee will review them and we'll leave it to them to decide which one seems to fit their goals.
They could fund both of them, right?
Possibly, that would be
Yeah.
the preferable route, yeah, but just knowing that, you know, both of them are.
Joel, are you putting in for you had them on there for this section. Can you go back to your spreadsheet, the trail one?
That one was with the overpass?
Yeah, are you putting in for anything for this grant period for the recreational trail program grant or the Utah Outdoor Rec grant?
I've already secured that in 24-25.
So you're not putting in this round? Okay, thank you.
When you submit it, let me know. 'Cause I actually have a pretty good relationship with Blake.
Oh,
Text each other.
Okay.
I ask him things, he asks me about city stuff, and so I have a good relationship with him. So if you say, hey, we're getting ready to send this in, I'm happy to assist however I can.
Thank you, that's
So-
wonderful.
Just showing the pictures from the
Yeah.
Christmas.
And he came to our 4th of July a few years
Yeah.
ago. So Layton's one of the big cities in his district, so he's always pretty responsive to us.
Yeah, wonderful.
Why don't you speak to the timing, because there's a pretty narrow window when the funds have to be encumbered, and one of the projects, the overpass, probably fits into that timeline a little better than the other, but maybe you can speak to that.
Yes, so when the monies are awarded, there's a 12-month need to get going, so they're looking for shovel-ready projects.
Yeah.
The overpass is definitely right there. We've got all the permitting done, we're ready to go, the design's ready. So, and with us exactly going out to bid this March, it just really would fall into place and just go right through. The Freedoms Memorial Plaza, like I said, we're working on the design concept plan. Pretty close, well, not, we're working on the construction set, so we're really close to having that up to go as well. The difference between the Freedoms Plaza is that we would hopefully be able to, we would want to get all of the funding, because otherwise we wouldn't have enough to be able to do it. Whereas with the overpass, we're ready to go and we have a backup plan.
What's the cost on the Freedoms Memorial?
We're estimating $2.5 to $3 million.
Not what we're asking, that's just the total, how much do you think the project will cost? Okay.
Yep.
That's from the architect.
When we first started looking at doing that project, it was more about 1.5, but that was several years ago, and that's why I'm kind of like thinking, okay, we really need to kind of speed it up, yeah, and try to move this along, because I mean, I know that that's been a goal of ours for a while. Plus, you have a lot of the veterans that have helped raise funding, and Gold Star Monument, they've raised the funding on it, so they've got enough. They really want to see that Gold Star go up, but we don't want to place it until we have the overall project underway, so that's why we need to kind of push as much as we can.
You mentioned originally when you were talking about this, how you can stand at the valley and look straight, everything is in line. You know, it's more than just let's put it here, you know. Yeah. So it kind of makes the whole park in a sense, I mean, you know what I mean?
I was going to say one thing, not that it would, but I think in the conversations I've had it, that we probably should mention, because we don't know who all this goes to, is the fact that this area is very dedicated towards the education that you have, but ironically, that happens to be Constitution Circle. So we probably ought to emphasize that this is Constitution Circle as well.
Yeah, it just fits so well.
Yeah. So. Anyway.
So this evening, we have 2 letters that would like to turn over to the mayor, and if you feel comfortable reviewing them and signing them, then we'll be able to include that with the application.
Kind of like what we've done in the past. I've been trying to brief it as we go, but I'm willing to sign it now, and then we'll just pass it around. And
Yeah, and we can, if you want to look at it throughout the evening, or even if it takes a little more time, that's fine. We don't mean to rush it, we just, as the mayor indicated, we're on a real tight time frame here.
You have 5 minutes before you have 5 minutes.
So maybe 10.
And the letter, of course, is just a snapshot of kind of introduction. There'll be there's a whole packet of
Yeah.
details and schematics and drawings that'll frame this, so we can try that.
Other letters of support from other
Yes.
So we got
I'm reaching out to the other committee members that have been helping us. I think they'd be very strong supporters and good voice for us.
Yeah, it's just like everything else. I think the more they hear from all of us, the better off we are.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Counselor?
Because I know that they'll find out whatever buckets they can.
That's great.
I'm not a lawyer,
It's-
but
it's-
exactly what.
All 5 of us have now resigned our seats irrevocably. Sorry, Mike, I got a few.
What's that?
I said, that letter actually says we all irrevocably resigned our seats.
Yeah.
So it was a nice
I
couple
saw you
meetings you
sign
had.
it, I figured we'd do it, and
It just reminds me of my wife. Sign here.
Yeah.
Well, it's like this. You don't know until you ask, so you might as well
Start
ask.
adding my
That's
middle
right.
name so that I'm longer.
So you want your name to be longer than mine? It is.
John Hancock. Just make it big. Dave Thomas.
That's right. John.
Good, thanks, guys. It's good. Nobody's got money. No, like I said, I'm always looking at all different angles, and I knew that this was there, and I've been working them for 2 years, really, and I finally said, okay,
I was afraid you were competing against mine. So
No.
I'm glad not to see
no,
that.
no. I checked, I keep checking each year with them, okay, what does it look like, what's your funding, and then finally just, so I had to hurry, and thank you guys for responding so quickly as well. I mean, it helps as far as the staff and everybody, but luckily we have projects that were already in the works and that's okay. What's left on our work meeting, and hopefully we have enough time here this evening, is to go ahead and kind of continue our discussion that we had as far as our priorities that we'd like to kind of work on, or our goals as a group. I'd say, you know, I'm willing to just open it up and relist everything, or maybe just spill out what each one of you would like, and then we can kind of prioritize from there if you'd like. But I just want to take advantage of the time here and try to move the needle on a few topics that we constantly talk about but don't take any action. So I know myself, and the needle has been moved, and I appreciate it, but you know, there's several items, but one that I think is beneficial, and I know that the staff has been working on it now and kind of coming around, and that's the idea of working with our overall active transportation and parks planning and roads plan, is bringing those together and really kind of, you know, trying to identify clear paths of active mobility going forward. And, you know, we've been, Joelle and I've actually gotten her involved at the Wasatch Front Regional Council. They've had a special class going on right now that's really diving into kind of understanding a lot of the various views, the way to approach it, as far as the safety concept, because, you know, the way it sits now, a lot of kids, unlike when we were going to school, I mean, we all, you know, couldn't wait to get our driver's license, and a lot of kids now, they're, you know, that's not a priority, but yet, you know, at the same time, we don't, they need to have the ability to get around, and I really think that going forward, we've seen it, you know, with the e-scooters and that, but preferably bicycles would be better, or good, safe walking paths. So I think that that's something that, you know, I want to see us kind of plan towards the future on. So I'm gonna just mention it now, that that's something I'd like to see happen as we look at different intersections throughout our city and even new ones. I know right by my house, there'll be a new intersection there at some point. So I would like to see that kind of really become, one of these models for how you can approach an area that's gonna have a lot of traffic and calm the traffic down so that it's pedestrian friendly as well as pedestrian bike, roll, whatever you wanna call it these days. But, those are just some of the things I was thinking of. And of course, I brought this up before because I know I agree, and I think a few of the other guys do here, in regards to our PRUDs. So I think that one weighs, probably pretty heavily here as far as one of our priorities, but I don't know, you guys.
What about PRUDs, Mayor? Or shall I say pro tem?
That's him now.
Oh,
Yeah.
wrong year,
So
wrong
we
year.
can, that needs some tweaking, let's say, from our experience these past 4 or 5 years. Right. As far as what qualifies, what goes into them. And I'll make it, I voiced this numerous times myself. I don't like the fact that all the rear entry products that seem to follow with it, but,
It definitely needs work.
yeah.
There are times when I don't mind it because of some other things, but there's times when it's like, really, I think we just passed one, didn't you? You mentioned it when we were walking out.
So we
Heinz.
Go ahead, sorry.
Heinz's property. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
No,
just-
not Heinz, Stevenson.
Stevenson's.
Oh, is this, I thought it was Heinz.
Heinz is just an R10.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But
It
no
was a-
rear entry.
No,
Yeah.
but it's a R10.
Just
I
have
mean, it was just
Yep.
simple,
Yeah.
perfect, good, it was nice. It was, yeah.
So I know, Zach, I know you don't like them, I mean, kind of embellish on that, what really kind of is.
Well, I
bothers you?
mean, I've
Every time we vote on one.
yeah, I just feel like that having multiple land use options is obviously a good thing, but I think that the exception has swallowed the rule. And that I think that there has to be some way that we can at least legislatively require maybe a little more stringent requirements to be able to qualify. I mean, in the end, it's a legislative decision from the council anyway. But I don't want to lead developers down a path that, we're no to development, because that's not what it is. I think it's just a matter of, there are certain places I think that it fits, and there are certain places when you have like a straight up piece of ground, and they're like, well, this is unique because it's this flat piece of ground, and that doesn't scream PRUD to me. Up on the east side, where we had all those issues with geotechnical,
Yeah.
and like you got to move things around, that more I think is the idea that I had in terms of what a PRUD should smell like. And so that's why when we had the one come up last time, that was just a straight up R110, that was like, how easy is that?
Yeah.
But we approved one not that long ago, not that far down the street,
Yeah.
PRUD, 2 of them, right?
Two
One
of them,
across on
yeah.
2200 and one down a little more. And I'm like, those are pretty much the same in terms of their layout, but 2 of them said that they wanted to utilize the PRUD. So I would obviously have to talk to the technical staff to see exactly how we do that. It's more just that I know our job's not to be the experts in all the fields.
No,
It's
but the
just to
point
say-
is we want to know,
yeah,
we need to let
if
them
I
know.
was, give me some ideas from the planning staff about where you think, from a legislative standpoint, if this had 3 votes on the council, or even if just me, I said, why don't you put together an ordinance for me that would provide more restrictions or provide a little bit more narrow language. I would like to at least see what that looks like.
I'll speak up a little bit
Yeah.
about that. I've had some conversations with some developers, and they want options. They don't want to be like the rear entry lots. They'd rather have an option that's not required,
Yeah.
if it's marketable. So they want to allow the market to dictate, or kind of guide them, shouldn't use the word dictate, but guide them in what kind of development. The Stevenson's property, I think why you saw the PRD there was the power corridor and interrupting that. I don't know how this would work, but, you know, I've always, when the master plan was passed, I don't think any of you guys, Joy was probably still on the council.
Planning Commission.
Planning Commission.
Planning Commission. There's an element in there of the ag heritage.
Yeah.
I actually voiced against that because to me it looked like it really doesn't fit what the citizens wanted in that whole process. They were looking for more, trying to protect what I call traditional agriculture. Now we do have a family that has protected the Mott family that's gonna, but it's not it's not guaranteed. It's what they're doing now, but it can change. I know we get the 30% versus 20, if I remember correctly, because it's ag heritage. One thing I like to see, because I've seen this with, I bumped into Dave before COVID down on Weaver Lane. There's a piece of property the city owns there for a park. And he was meeting with the residents there, and I pulled in just to kind of find out what's going on. It was right next to my shop. But that hasn't been developed yet. We own the property. The property's still sitting there. So kind of one thing I was thinking, if we can change the PRD, and I'm going to look at Weston here, is and if you remember correctly in the Stevenson, all the open space is really for the members of the HOA. It's not for the other citizens. So yeah, we're going to put a dog park in there, but I'm not going to be able to take my dogs over to that dog park. What I'd like to see is you can give them some higher density, but then not confine it to that development, almost like transfer development rights. So we can take that money, allow them to put in smaller lots, which hopefully would be more marketable, kind of like what we're dealing with the UDOT thing, trying to get some smaller homes built, and then have the developer basically pay or fund the development of the park at Weaver Lane, try to get some of this other money throughout the city and not confine it just to an 80-acre piece that only those people can live. So that's kind of my thinking a little bit, and just given the market kind of the driving force. Here it sounds like I'm pro-business and pro-development, but
Sounds like you're a
it's being realistic, just giving them the ability. Planning Commission just went through on the old Barnes property off Gordon and the trail. Weston can kind of, they had some townhomes that weren't selling, and it was just, they weren't, so they modified the plan, allowing them to
Trailside.
yeah, trailside,
Yeah.
modify the plan so that then they can go ahead and build different types of units that they know they can sell. So I think just trying to give developers a few more options, not keeping them tight, but then again, look at what we can do for the city that benefits not just our residents. And then one other thing I want to point out, and I have asked developers this, but I haven't found a city that does this. What one developer told me that there's some cities require an outreach program when they're putting in a PRD. So if you recall at the Stevenson, you have a lot of
Outreach, meaning it's
outreach to
surrounding
the
the
before,
neighborhood.
basically trying to get them on board. So it would be a requirement, if you're going to put in a PRD, you have to do an outreach to surrounding neighbors and get input from them. And which I think in theory would be beneficial, because a lot of those people anticipated a certain kind of development next to their homes, and now they're getting something totally different. You know, they've been in them 10 years or whenever that development was. So I don't know I would think legislative, that we'd have the ability to put this in, that they have outreach. But I voiced my opinion on the Harmony Park years ago when
Yeah.
that was in, and you had open space that was right in front of someone's house, and I go, how is anybody gonna use that open space? But, you know, the city changed that to eliminate that, so hopefully we can just keep improving the process before we're all built out, and start tearing down old homes and building new homes. But those are some things that I think we could investigate and try to come up with a better ordinance.
You could also look at like reviewing that ag heritage overlay, because I think just by hearing it, you think something, right?
Yeah.
You hear ag heritage overlay, it invokes something in all of our minds, and I'm sure it's different for each of us, but it still gives us something in our head. And then when you actually read what it is, it's generally not what you think it is, right?
Yeah,
So I think maybe reviewing that could also be beneficial and could speak to what you were talking about, Zach, about making it a little bit, I don't want to say more difficult, but just more intentional and more thoughtful about
Yeah.
what is happening
I mean,
in those areas.
I just, we have all these entitled units throughout the state. We have, and I'll maybe save some of these comments for maybe when we go to our budget meeting, but, I mean, so much of the stuff that I've heard for 6 years has all been the same song and dance for 6 years. And I want to make sure that the uniqueness that we have particularly in the west side, where we have a lot of open space, that we do honor that heritage. I think it's important. I don't think that, having, apartments and townhouses out there, I mean, density is not a bad thing on its own, but there's a reason why density should be near freeway systems, near mass transit, not out in that area, right? And so I just think that there's been lots of discussion, and it's been pretty much, like I said, the same song and dance from the state side for the last 6 years. We've done lots of cities have done what they've been asked to do.
Yeah.
And in reality, I think there are some underlying things that they haven't even mentioned as driving forces to housing prices. And in the end, I think we have a duty to make sure the Layton stays the Layton that we want it to be, and it's not turned into something that, some bureaucrat in some other big city thinks that we should be doing. It goes back to the kind of idea that, with that water idea, well, you gotta do this because this is what, these smart people in this think tank said, this is what you gotta raise your water rates to, and they have no idea about what our city is like. And so in a lot of ways, housing is the same thing, where you have these kind of urban people who look at walkability, and they want to turn, what are suburban areas, people move to suburban areas for a reason. We don't necessarily want walkability, that's why they move to the suburbs. If they wanted that, they would go somewhere else. And so if our suburbs start to look like an urban area, I think we've gone too far in trying to master plan our zoning. And so that's a 30,000-foot view of just 6 years on here. I just had, not consternation, but there's just been a lot of talk about drivers for housing prices, and in the end, I think Jerry's right. I just don't know. I just think we just tell them this is the kind of developments that we see in this area, and that's what it is. I mean, I just think that the flexibility that we provide to developers is gone to a point where, again, the exception becomes the rule, and that's the expectation. And we've had a couple situations where developers have kind of said, well, this seems to work in other areas, and so we're going to provide not just an ask, we're going to ask for a change to the general plan because we want to do X, Y, or Z, which is just pushing, the idea of why we even did that general plan out the window. That had all that community support and community input, and I just think that if in the end, when the development comes up and we forget the general plan, we forget the reason why we have the zoning that we have, until it goes away, we need to utilize our land use authority and make sure that we hold the line on what Layton is, so.
The one thing that, and I'm sorry, I may be speaking in sheer ignorance, but I never know what the availability is of townhouses and apartments in the city. You know, are they being filled at 50%? They seem to be filling up, but, and excuse me for saying, no, I'm not going to excuse myself. I don't trust the developer saying, oh, we need to do this because you need it. Well, I should know that. I don't know that. I'm trusting them thinking, well, they wouldn't build it if they didn't think they could sell it, type thing. But it would be interesting to know in our city what, you know, at whatever time we've got, you know, if we're 50%, then why are we building apartments? Why are we building townhouses? You know, if we're at 75 or 80, okay, I get it. But I don't know that, and I don't know how to find the truth, you know, and, but anyway, it was just.
Weston can tell us.
Yeah, he said stay on top
Do
of it.
you guys
We
keep track
could
of
get
that?
it updated, I know that.
Oh,
we haven't
okay, I
seen
didn't
for
see,
a
that's
while,
what I didn't know.
but
Then I'll
tell
talk
us
to
the
you.
occupancy.
Yeah. And just one other thing that has nothing to do with it, but since I'm speaking, when I bought my lot to put a house on, it was my lot. Well, when they built my house and I moved in, there was no topsoil. It pissed me, excuse me, and it upset me. And so I called my builder and I said, where's my topsoil? He says, what do you mean, where's your topsoil? I said, well, I bought it. That's my lot. And what'd you do with my topsoil? He says, well, we sold it. I said, well, buy it back and put it on. He says, well, that's not what they do. And I said, well, you're gonna do that, or I'll see you. You know, and then the problem is, Var and I, we were real good friends. And that, and Var says, you really want your topsoil back? And I said, yeah. I said, you know, if I got a plant on top of clay, which is what I have, you know, at the time I wasn't thinking of water. I was just thinking of growing grass. And now I look at, here we are in a water problem, and the worst thing you can do is strip the topsoil, because the water only goes to the clay and then goes wherever it goes. You know, so it'd be, can we make an ordinance? I mean, is that something within our rights that we could say, you can't take the topsoil? I don't know. I keep thinking it must be.
We're having discussions, Weston and I have met with the developer. We're looking into that.
Oh, okay. I mean, I
just preface
just,
it with that, I don't know the answer to that. but-
yeah, I didn't either, and I didn't, when I told him I was gonna sue him, I was joking, but, you know, I just said, you know, if I, what do we, it's gonna take me 5 years to grow grass on clay, but if I have my topsoil, then, you know, even if I put sod over the top, I'd be better off. And then I found out that, of course, topsoil holds water. I didn't think of it that way. I just thought of it, it wouldn't grow. But it holds water, and now we're in water, you know, we're gonna be doing all kinds of stuff with water in the next 20 years. So anyway,
All right.
One thing and then I'll shut up. The other thing I wanted to potentially, maybe ask a question maybe to legal. So we had this, I remember this came up a little while ago, this Utah Water Savers Program. We had an ordinance, it was defeated. My question is, I think some of the hesitation from my colleagues was they didn't want to make it difficult for new buyers to have restrictions on what they were doing with their landscape. And so my question is, if we were to resurrect that, bring it back, and with our water concerns we're always going to have this summer moving on, do the landscape requirements are they based on when the zone change is approved and the application is approved for the development? Or is it based on some like later date when the subdivision is platted and all that? The reason I ask is if we have 3 big ones coming out on the west side, and if that ship's already sailed, then it's not as time sensitive for me to maybe look at resurrecting it, if it's not gonna affect those big 3 on the
Yeah,
west side.
they're already vested.
So they would be vested in the current ordinance, current
Correct.
landscaping ordinance? Okay.
But
That's
I'm
helpful.
gonna add, I'm gonna
Okay.
add though, water's a big issue.
Uh-huh.
I deal with a lot of it.
Yeah.
So it's a big issue, and what Zach is saying, that we do need to address our landscape ordinance and that. A good example, just the Housing Authority of County Salt Lake that I spent 5-6 years there working. One of our biggest expenses to operate, and these are federal funds coming in, was landscaping costs, the maintenance of it, and then watering it. And we did everything in our power to look at how we could reduce the consumption of water and the cost, because our funds kept getting cut and cut.
So we do have one, Mike, we have one in place, and we went through and really kind of fine-tuned it.
But that was,
I-
you can do this,
And
not
it-
that you have to.
Yeah, it wasn't a requirement, and-
Yeah.
and what,
That one was a requirement, but
Yeah.
I can tell you too, in Clark County, so Henderson, Vegas and stuff
Yeah.
like that became a big issue down there. And they changed, especially with the housing authorities, they went basically everything was zero scape just because of the cost of water. And you're gonna see cost of water just keep going up and up.
Right.
So it's something we need to start looking at.
so are
I
you
think-
guys saying you want to readdress the?
I think it
Our-
would be, I think it would be good, if we're gonna do the PRD, I think we need to look at the landscaping almost simultaneously and try to mirror them so that
Okay.
they come. There's a lot of advantages to do it. You can reduce, if you do it right, you're definitely gonna reduce water consumption. And then by reducing water consumption, even though rates go up, then you're still helping out the residents there, because then they'll have more disposable income because it's not going. It won't bring in revenue to the city by selling water, but it's the right thing to do, is how I look at it.
I will say that the PRD ordinance does require water-wise. We don't require it on the standard single-family home, but it does require it on the PRDs. It could get tightened down and clarified, but it does require.
There's a lot of landscape architects out there that know
Absolutely.
worse
Yeah.
a bit than me that could actually give us guidance and stuff like that.
Well, like I said, we took a really deep dive into this
Yeah.
already, and I know that the
I
staff.
know it, I recall, I was here
Yeah.
for some reason, I remember the
Yeah.
motion passed that Zach's talking about.
Mhm.
I had actually put in an application for that program, and of course,
Yeah.
when the city did pass it, the funding didn't come from Beaver Basin, but I think it's something we can look into and see how I'm always like, hey, what can we improve and make better just for our residents, not just today, but the ones that aren't even here yet.
Well, and that was the concern
So-
when that was passed, was the fact that, because that was right, and the housing market was shooting up that 17%, right? And it was like, geez, and now you want to
Slow
add
down.
the additional expense of the xeriscape on top of it, because it does cost more for xeriscape. So I think that's where this body was coming from at that time, but certainly it's something we can readdress.
But water's gonna get more expensive, it's
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
become more of a priority in this.
Water is gonna cost more in your home.
I can tell you right now, Davis and Weaver in
Yeah.
in 2002 was going for about $4,000 a share. Prior to 2002, 2002-3, it jumped up to 7,500. 2014, I purchased some for 25,000 a share, and I'm aware of some that went recently for almost $100,000 a share.
Sure.
So in 20 years, you
Yeah.
can see what the cost of that will.
Yeah, it's been, my grandfather was a water guy, and he wrote over 1,000 letters to the senators.
Mhm.
And he had, it wasn't him alone, but 3 dams were built. And I remember I worked as a kid, he was a water master when he retired. He says, that's not gonna be enough water. And I said, God, so, big dams. He says, by the time you die, he says, whatever you're paying for your house, you're gonna be paying for water. And the more I see it, the more I believe it.
Okay.
I have a couple other things.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's kind of make sure we get all these out on the table so we kind of understand what we go. Go ahead.
So my big one is communications.
Okay.
Whether it's a director, if it's a team. We have cities around us that are much smaller than us that have them. We have had some situations in the past, especially last year, where it would have been very helpful for us to be able to communicate what we want to communicate to the residents. And so I think that's something that we need to really look into, think about, figure out how to do that. Because a city of our size, not having a dedicated communications director, and not just like posting social media, that's all encompassing, but I mean like an actual, a CIO or something that doesn't have to be Clint. He does great work for us, but he has a whole department of legal things that he needs to do. So that's something that I think we need to really look into, figure out how to get, and then maybe we could fold in other things to that. We are a very resourceful city, which is good, but also can cause some challenges down the road when people retire and they were really good at doing whatever it was they did, but that wasn't necessary, that was just all other duties as assigned. And so I think we need to be forward thinking when it comes to some of these tasks and things that we have that we really take pride in, and making sure that we kind of budget for them and think about what we need in the future. The other thing that I wanted to bring up was just reviewing the rent bylaws, and I know we talked about this before, but thankfully it got passed again, and so now that it's reauthorized, I think it's time for us to just really dig in and kind of look at those bylaws and make sure that the intentions that are in there are what we still want them to be for our city and what we do and all of those things. So I just would like for us to make sure we go through those two. The other thing that I thought about, and this just came up a couple of years ago, and then I think maybe last year, was just accessibility of our building. And that's not necessarily something that we have to have as a council priority. But I know that on the Layton City Youth Court, for 2 years, we had a youth court member who was in a wheelchair and was unable to get up to the dais to do the duties that he performed. He's not the only one who comes or wants to come. We have residents who have mobility issues, and being able to get into the building. I know we have the ramp that goes around back, but it's very cumbersome. It's just an old way of doing things, and it's almost like go around back and we'll catch you when we catch you type of thing. So I know this is something that would take a lot of planning, a lot of money, and all of those
So
things.
exterior and interior is what you're saying,
But
right?
I'm thinking that's something that we need to think about, because we have a lot of residents who would have mobility issues and may want to come.
Sure.
And I think we should think about them. I think the internal stuff is probably easier to do with a quicker solution, but I do think we need to think about just broadly accessibility.
We actually put parking out front here rather than just over there, but
Yeah, I'm
It's
just
hard
talking about
because
getting.
people don't
Yeah.
realize
to
that that's
the
where it's
building.
at.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where you park, if you can't get in,
Right.
Right.
where you're going.
Yep, okay. All right, those are some good ones. Clint, do you have any?
Thank you for that. I spent 8 months in a wheelchair, so thank you for that, Tina.
Well,
Yeah, we just don't, think about it if it doesn't necessarily affect us, but,
I'm supportive of both of the communications effort and the ramp bylaws
Okay.
for priorities. I'm wondering about the station area plan. I'm assuming it's more defense instead of offense. That we've got we've got property owners and in that area, and we've got projects in that area. Just wondering what the vision, the staff's vision of that, what that could look like. It's kind of coming up a little bit. I just wondered about that. We haven't talked about that in a while.
If you want, I can briefly respond, but I don't want to take the. Just a.
Go ahead and give a quick briefing on that.
Yeah, so you're right, it was reactive towards the state because they required it. We already have a decent plan in place. We received a grant for $175,000 from Los Angeles Regional Council to redo the code for the downtown. We're actively working on getting that in place, and we'll be doing that this year. So
Okay.
we're going to really tighten down the design and what that area is going to look like and feel like this year.
Okay.
Okay, pretty good. You got a good answer. Okay, that's a good one. Do you have any others?
Nope.
I've got one again.
Yes.
I'm
go
not
ahead.
thinking about the welfare of the city. But it's our 250th year. And the recreation parks, they've taken on themselves to become the committee to take care of it. But to me, and I don't mean a statue, it's just something to commemorate.
The Freedom Plaza.
What?
That's why I want to push for the Freedom
Well,
Plaza. That, I mean, you talk
yeah,
about
if you put something in there that says 250, year birthday passed by then, but something. Yeah, the plaza could, no question. But something that's just specific, people, we know history because we've lived it. But you don't know the history of Layton unless you go search for it. There's a few spots that have all this, by the way, this house is 100 years old, and so-and-so owned it and stuff like that, but, I assume that the sesquicentennial, made up that word, it only comes once. I'm just assuming that. I'm not overly intelligent, but, so, just something, just, I don't know what, I'm not looking for a big statue somewhere by any means, but just something that says, hey, do you realize, kids don't realize that. And one day they'll live here and say, wow, it's kind of cool. This happened when I was.
So when we had our 200th birthday, we did identify properties around town and we did the signs that went out to identify kind of landmarks of what was when Layton's history.
So we could put it in dirt and during over the city because it's been around there.
Older than dirt, you're right.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway.
Older than topsoil.
Yeah, good point, topsoil. So you're looking for maybe one monument type thing?
Well,
Or
monument
are you wanting
makes me
to
think it's-
embellish? What I'm
No.
asking, are you wanting to embellish on what we started for our birthday?
You could, I'm not overly concerned either way, just that there's something that says, it's like when I walk in the museum and there's a bust of Christopher Layton. It's simple,
Yeah.
but yet you read it, oh, man, this is the guy that, helped settle it. He didn't live here, but.
We have lots of beautiful places in the park that.
Yeah, there's a lot of places,
It'd be good
just
to-
something
No, I totally
a
agree.
little,
I think it's.
it doesn't have to be like, me and statues don't get along.
So, just to kind of
They're
keep
just
that
a
conversation, let me just kind of open up an
Sure.
idea there, only because, part of the planning with Parks and Rec, since they've really taken this on, I know that they're planning on a coin as well, and one of the main things that really kind of identifies Layton, or that we've, besides Christopher Layton receiving mail here and it being a mail stop,
Yeah.
but it's also the snow horse the snowboards on that mountain. I mean, that's
Oh, the
directly
horse,
over
no
Layton,
horse,
so
yeah.
I mean, it could
Yeah.
be something as simple as like that, right? Is that what you're driving at maybe, that's
No.
different?
Snow Horse has been there since the Indians were here. So you could, I don't know how.
Well, I'm just thinking it goes with the
Trying to
whole
picture.
motif that they've created.
Yeah, but
around-
this is 250-year birthday
Some sort of,
of, it's patriotic,
So,
you know.
do we have a list of our historical sites, registered historical sites, or?
You know, that's what.
So my home's on the
I'm throwing an
historical
idea.
register, but
I
it's
don't-
not
I really don't
identified.
You know, a plaque would be fine. I mean,
Uh,
a statue would be fine. I don't want a big, you know.
I think that starts,
Just something that we recognize that, hey,
let me
you
give
know.
you an example.
Okay.
So, I don't know, I probably should have listed that they have, but right after I got elected, I was walking around the grounds,
Yeah.
and I went over to that cabin by the
Right
museum,
here, yeah.
and I was like, her name was very familiar to me.
Oh, yeah.
John Hill, I know that name, so I went on the little family tree, and John Hill and his wife, my great-great-great-great-great-grandparents, lived out on the west side.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I feel a lot more pressure to,
Oh, yeah.
do what I'm supposed to as a city
That's
council
right.
member with the duty that I have.
Exactly.
And it helped me understand that there's lots of people who've gone before, and that it's not just, this is a people, right? It's not just soil, it's a people. So I think, to your point, Dave, if we could have something that could commemorate just 250 years
Yeah.
of the country, and how other people be able to find some sort of connection between that
Well,
and
just
our city and
just
something.
the knowledge.
I think that's
You
a
know.
good use of 250 years.
These people over here asked me to do something. I'm not gonna mention it. But I've had to study history more, in depth, to try and find out some things. And I'm amazed. I really am, to think of the people that created our country, what they really were, you know? Excuse me, but they all weren't lawyers.
It's okay.
You know?
Just James Madison.
Yeah, you know,
Oh,
and
it's okay.
James Madison, Thomas
Thomas
Jefferson
Jefferson.
hated each other, you know, but yet one was vice president, one was president. But anyway, that knowledge that I've kind of learned, it's not, you know, president this, president that, it has made me feel more proud of what's going on. And, you know, when I die, I'd like to have my kids or my grandkids or their grandkids be able to see something that said, you know, this was the United States. This is, you know, we've been here for 250 years, which isn't very long compared to a lot of countries, like Greece. And so anyway, that's, like I said, I'm not looking for anything specific,
you.
just, you
Okay.
know.
I'm with you.
All right, are there any others?
Yeah, I got more, but I got 3 more years, 4 more years.
It's your 90-day rush.
Yeah.
I figure that's enough for right now.
All right, so I'm going to recap then what we've mentioned here, and then, of course, you know, if we want to put a priority to it, we can, because we do have 8 minutes, like I'm done, or we can make sure that this is something we address, you know, in our all-day meeting. So I heard PRUDs, we need to, you know, refine that as far as ag overlays, the rear entry options, the open space qualifications. And today's point is the topsoil, where does it stay with the ground? Is there, you know, how do we want to address that? Question the Utah water program and what we can do with our landscaping there, knowing that as we head into more water drought years, especially this year. Communications, CIO in particular, and someone that we can identify that role and what all that encompasses, I mean. Need to review the ramp bylaws, make sure that's the direction that we still want to go with it and the way they're written currently. The building accessibility, both interior and exterior, as far as making that more accessible for those that are, I hate to use the word handicap, but that have
You
limited
use-
mobility.
Disabled.
Disabled.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
thank
use
you.
my
That's
name.
why, so disabled. We need to look at the stationary plan update, which obviously the staff is already starting on that, but it's something that we, as a body, really need to kind of make sure we're involved with that and make, and the direction we're going with it. AT planning as far as with including bikes, the size of sidewalks, how we utilize our intersections, safe route to schools, all of that, as far as just additional ways of getting around our city and connecting the trails that we have in place. And then, of course, some type of historical, whether it be a monument or something regarding the celebration of our 250 years that pertains to Layton. So, right?
So,
Doesn't have to pertain to Layton, but
on the pool and all that.
Oh, the reflection,
Yeah.
yeah. Freedom Memorial,
How much funding are we short?
most of it.
We're estimating a $2.5 to $3 million budget for being able to build it, so we have quite a bit to go.
Okay.
It's a tall ask. Gotta ask. Okay, is that a good wrap up then?
Yeah.
Okay, let me just then kind of also emphasize the fact that Utah Leagues of Cities and Towns, we have the conference next month. So please let Angela know if you guys are going and what accommodations you need. And if there's anything else internally. That was the main one. Anything else? Oh, I have one, since we're talking. A known American 250 is coming up, and
sure.
there's, yeah, it is here, and we, you know, there's been a lot of events planned and identified, but obviously the parade will be a big one. And so we want to really kind of emphasize that, and I'll work on, I've already kind of been working on some shirts and that for us. But this year, I don't have a firm answer yet.
You have
He
no
might
idea.
have-
Get ready.
I felt
Get ready.
I felt behind the scenes a little bit
Reconsidered.
on that, so.
Okay, well, I haven't got a firm answer yet, but I just know that, you know, to help celebrate the 250th anniversary, we might have something a little different to hand out in the beginning for our popsicles, basically, but it might require additional help and strategic planning. So I'll give you the heads up now, and I'll certainly, when I have it confirmed, I'll let you know.
In addition to or instead of?
No, instead of the popsicles, but it's.
I have to change my songs.
You've got time.
Yeah, you got time. You got help, Dave. I know you got help. But anyway, I think it'll be great. It's just some fun stuff to do, but certainly anything you guys that you want, speak up and let's kind of just make sure we're working together as a team and kind of being unified and help celebrate. This is like you say, it's a lifetime opportunity for us that are here now. So, anyway, that's all I have.
I think we should invite the staff, and they should get to wear cool shirts too.
They work, they do, they have, I was gonna say, they start at,
If you gotta wear it,
dark
everybody's gotta
30,
wear
I
it.
know that for a fact.
And
Yeah, it's an all-day event, but,
Everybody should get to wear a blow-up dinosaur at least once
Yeah.
in their life, just saying,
Wolf dinosaur or the elf hat that
something.
we
Yeah,
had
those
that
are-
one time. I mean, getting Alex to wear
Alex
an
looks
elf
like
hat.
he's interested.
You get,
That was a dunce hat.
That was something.
Oh, was it?
it just kind of,
This
You're
is
a buddy.
Alex.
Come on,
I'm
you're our
like,
buddy.
Really? And he wore it.
You did.
Just be glad there isn't a bunch of snow out there, because
Yeah.
right now I would have us doing
Yeah.
our Christmas
Just
card.
Photoshop us into that
Yeah.
right there.
We can go to Weese's, he's got one of those green things you can
Yeah,
stand
I have a way cool
Put a
idea on that
picture
if I
behind
can
it.
just pull it off, but
Yeah.
anyway. So yeah, I'm open, you know, you guys, like I said, it's all of us, but stay tuned, I'll have an answer here pretty quick.
When are we having the dinner that the newest person elected buys for the council?
May
May?
the 2nd.
Oh, I know, at the
It's a
Greek.
whole
May the
party,
2nd.
isn't it?
Yeah.
You'll get an invite for May
Yeah.
the 2nd.
Uh-huh.
Spoke that
There'll
into
be punch and alcohol, I'm gonna warn you now. You guys will get an invite.
Don't
And
mark
baklava.
which is which.
I haven't been to fight in a long time, this will be great.
We'll
Okay,
have something else.
okay,
So,
all right.
May the 2nd, we're gonna celebrate 100 years of my little farm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, about 106
Family farm.
months, so.
So how long have you been
So it'll
there?
be Greek food, of course.
105?
What's that?
How many years you been there?
How about a motion to adjourn and you can
Yeah.
carry on this
Motion to
conversation?
adjourn.
Okay,
Second.
thank you, you guys. Okay. Oh, the other thing was,